Hello, and welcome to Your Autistic Besties podcast. Because what better thing for a hyperlexic autistic gal to do than start a podcast to talk to you? I'm your host, Elsie Kenna, the aforementioned autistic gal, and also ADHD if we're naming names. And this is my first episode of what I am intending to be a micro podcast, or at least that is what I am dubbing it. Short little voice note style episodes, as if your autistic bestie was sending you friendly reminders, giving you little bits of insight, chatting about how they're feeling, maybe rejoicing over cute stuffed animals or their cat who is sleeping at their feet. And that's what this is going to be about. So welcome to the show. I am so stoked to have you here. If you're watching on YouTube, hello, it's nice to see you. I am wearing my Don't Wait for Tomorrow t-shirt. I had this idea not too long ago. I am recording with a very rudimentary stack of books beneath my iPhone and a pink microphone that I bought probably almost 2 years ago now for an entirely different project that I had in mind. So this feels really good to be birthing into the world, manifesting. And for today's show, I think I just want to briefly talk about the intersection between being autistic and feeling simultaneously like you're not meant for the world and the world is too much, but also frickin' loving it here. Like, when you get in your groove, and if you are late diagnosed like me, holy crapoli, this is so real. So the reason this comes to mind today is because I went on a beautiful hike. I live on Vancouver Island, and I've been living here for a year and almost a month now, so about 13 months, I guess. And finally did this hike today because we got a bunch of snow here this week, which isn't super common for the winter time on Vancouver Island. And side note, the challenge of this being a micro podcast and keeping it short is literally going to be keeping it short because I'm so detail oriented when it comes to telling stories. So bear with me, please. Anyways, went for this hike and it was quite snowy, so there weren't many people out. In fact, I was the only person at the top of this mountain when I got there, and I just lay back on the snow looking out over this view, and I love those moments so much. Just feeling like the world is my home. I find I get those moments a lot when I'm out in nature. I used to have them a lot more frequently, I would say, because I grew up on a farm and we had quite a lot of private land where I could honestly just go for a walk and be completely by myself in the woods. And I don't necessarily have that where I am here on Vancouver Island. So to have a little slice of that today was honestly so nourishing for my body and soul. And I was just about to descend the mountain when I saw a little track leading off to the side. So I thought, might as well check it out because it's so hard for me to see a trail and not want to follow it. So lo and behold, it brought me to this beautiful swing set that somebody had attached to an arbutus tree, and it had a beautifully hand done seat that had an image of Vancouver Island, the name of the mountain, and the date. And I just got to sit there and look out over this view and breathe it in and write a poem about it. And it made me think a lot about this book that I was just reading, Matt Haig's new one, the Life Impossible. I actually have it here. if you're watching the video of this recording. Such a good book. Matt Haig is an autistic writer. You can really tell by the details that he captures in his prose. It's honestly such a beautiful book, but it's all about appreciating life in its complexity and its rawest form, and being so in tune with that wonder and the desire to protect that wonder engenders. And I also just started reading Shelby Van Pelt's Remarkably Bright Creatures, and it's part of why I have my octopus stuffy, other than the fact that I just love her, sitting right next to me as I'm recording this. But I find that reading can really get me in touch with what I love about being human. And so I guess this episode is just a quick little bright way to say hello, to introduce myself to you, to the kind of things that I love and that tickle my brain in the right way. And basically a little voice note almost from my current self to my past self, who honestly last year at this time was going through a really, really difficult, very emotionally tenuous time. And the me of 2 years ago, she would just be stunned to see where I am today, sitting here talking to you all, embracing my autistic identity on the internet for others to hear about. So if you are maybe just at the beginning of your self-discovery journey, or you're going through a rough patch, I honestly never used to take much credence when people said, things get better, you just have to weather the storm. I felt like my entire life had been a storm. I was only diagnosed at the age of 23, and I'm self-diagnosed, so I actually really only felt like I embraced my identity at the end of 24. So anyways, it's been about a year now that I've been fully embracing this identity and knowing that it's true for me, and it has unlocked so many doors, and I feel like it has tapped so much creative potential in me and just helped me fall back in love with life, which I think, naturally speaking, autistic people, we observe so many details. We are so connected on a sensory level and have this intrinsic ability to really feel at home here in the natural world. And when we don't have the appropriate accommodations and resources and self-knowledge and the ability to support ourselves or seek support from the right sources, it's like that incandescent love we have for life gets so totally dimmed and almost turned off, to the point that we feel maybe at a loss as to how to even continue on a daily basis. So yeah, that's where this episode is heading, I think. And I'm going to wrap it up now, but I'm so grateful that you're here. If you are here, you're a freaking rock star, because you have survived all of your hardest days and you're showing up to get a little bit of encouragement from someone who knows how it feels to be in the trenches. And bestie, it does get better. So I hope that you will stick around, and I would love to build community with you, build connections with you. If you have any episode topics that you would like me to dive into, please comment them down below. If you're listening to this podcast on Spotify, be sure to drop me a rating and spread this episode with your autistic friends, or maybe your family members or peers who want to know a little bit more about what it's like to exist in the world as an autistic person and what that experience is all about. So I hope you're doing well. I hope you're taking care of yourself and that you think of something you're grateful for today when you finish listening to this episode. And I will see you in the next one. Thank you so much for being here.